Terry's got my little notes. I got to put my glasses on so I can read. It feels so formal. Are we recording? Do we record these? Okay. So welcome to our first Joint Education Committee meeting for 2025. In keeping with past practice, as the longest-serving Board of Education member, I'm calling the meeting to order. Myself and Ms. Frazier, as the longest-serving commissioner, developed the meeting agenda, so our first order of business will be to approve the meeting agenda.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Our second order of business will be to elect committee co-chairs, and also keeping with past practice, we will need to elect one Board of Education member and one county commissioner to serve as co-chairs. I think we should start with county commissioner. This should be easy.
I nominate Kim Frazier.
Second.
Okay, we have a nomination and a second for Ms. Frazier. Will you accept that nomination?
I would be
Okay.
proud to, yes.
So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. There you go.
Thank you very much.
I would like to nominate Christy as well.
Second.
Okay, so we have a nomination for Christy and a second. Any discussion?
Do you accept?
I do.
Absolutely.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Motion carries. Established committee role and responsibility. Okay, so Terry sent us all some background information. So we've had the Joint Education Committee for years. I don't think we've had it the last year or 2 years. Which is it?
That's correct.
The last year?
It's been about 2 years since our last meeting.
Okay.
No, I was at a meeting. I've been to
You were?
meetings.
Okay.
Which one? A year
Okay.
Okay.
So, and I think part of the reason it just kind of fell aside was participation and attendance.
Yes.
So, probably something we need to just be mindful of because we want to be respectful of everyone's time. And as much as I love Kim, I can go to lunch with her, or we could all call her. I mean, so that is something we may need to send out, maybe just to make sure they're still interested in doing it.
Yes.
If you don't mind
Oh, absolutely.
touching base with them.
I sure will.
Not that we don't love to see you, but I know you share that sentiment. Lost my cheat sheet. So, committee role and responsibility. Kim, do you want to add anything to that?
Well, one thing that I love about the Joint Education Committee, and one reason it was created, was to just foster communication between school board and county commission. This is something that I think is really important, that we work together to address the county's participation, school board representatives, and again, how do we celebrate Knox County schools and the work that we do, and also County Commission, how do we address the needs of our school system? And so this is really just an opportunity for us to really come together and work towards improving, expanding. If County Commission has any questions, if the school board has questions, this is just a time to come together and again celebrate Knox County schools, this district, and the county support that we provide to the district. So that is kind of the purpose and the role of this committee. So, you know, we can, if anybody has any specific topics or items that they would like to discuss, this is the time. You know, one thing that I'm interested in and getting the school board's input is, from a county perspective, as you all know, we're one of the fastest growing counties in the state of Tennessee. I hear probably on a daily and a weekly basis, and even as a citizen, I advocated very much trying to bring awareness and attention to growth and development and how it impacts our schools. I've had several meetings with some of the great team members with Knox County Schools trying to figure out how do we plan ahead for the impact that growth and development has on our current enrollment in schools. So that's something that I would love to have that conversation here, and just if you have any suggestions, any advice, I've even met with our planning staff to talk about how do we incorporate that as part of the application process for new development. That may be something that this body could provide some insight into. Is it something that we may want the school board to also be a part of? And so that may be something that as a group, we may want to put that on the next agenda to bring some thoughts forward.
I would agree with that, because one of the questions I've had recently is around planning commission and the numbers, like whenever they approve a development, they'll say this development's going to yield 6
Right.
kids.
Right. Yeah, so the student yield formula.
And how they, one, determine that, and also, are there ways to improve on that? Because, your 6 kids assumes that it's 6 kids spread out equally among,
Yes.
K through 12.
Right.
And then if you have 14 first graders that move in,
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole classroom and teacher and completely throws that formula off.
Right.
So I am interested in that formula and how that works.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also interested in how those numbers are shared, and specifically if they can be shared more frequently than what they are, because I believe we only get them once a year.
You do.
And with the developments coming in
Yes.
as quickly as they are, you might get 20 new developments in a district in a year, and you're not getting those numbers until
Right.
the end of the year.
After the fact.
So, and I think that might be part of how we got here infrastructure-wise to begin with.
That I agree. And Knox County is in the process of creating a unified development ordinance, and what we'll be looking at is our current zoning ordinances, subdivision regs, and the impact on communities, both physically and fiscally. And part of that, I would like to take back some recommendation as a joint effort, how we want the impact of development on our school system to be considered during the update of these policies and these ordinances. Right now, as Representative Christie stated, you all get a report from planning once a year. And we were having those discussions about how often should you all receive that information, and then what are you going to do with the information when you do get it? The other question that we're kind of struggling with as a challenge is, what if it is a part of the planning application and consideration? Do we want Planning Commission and County Commission to make decisions based on those student yields and the formula and how it impacts the schools? So as a county, we're trying to be more proactive versus reactive, and that has not historically been the case. And has not been historically from the school system as well, with the conversations that I've had with the leadership team within the schools is, we have to be reactive because of funding. Same thing with the county. Everyone's budgets are very, very lean. We're doing the very best that we can. But also, that's what I hear most from communities, is the impact this is having on our schools and classroom sizes, student ratios, concerns with safety, and again, enrollment and capacities. I know that Knox County Schools, they are working on really identifying what school capacities, how that should be calculated, because there are different considerations. And so I have started those conversations with the school board, and I would just really like your input as a collaborative effort on how we can both look at growth and development and the impact it has on schools.
So I would like to speak to the role and responsibilities, but kind of piggyback on what you're saying, is when the data comes out, when the data is available, that's a great time to discuss it. And if we know when data is going to be available, then, we want to have meetings scheduled around that. If you schedule meetings around doing something, then people will generally want to come. You schedule a meeting around not doing anything, then it's kind of like just having a meeting to say you had it. So I was looking at if we had standing meetings like at the beginning, and I'm not giving any dates now, but like at the beginning of the school year, and we talk about what are the anticipated things that we need to talk about as a board of county commission and the board of education, and then second semester meeting, where at the beginning of the second semester, and then I do think, around the budget time, that we might want to say, hey, let's get together, so we may have an anticipation of things that may be coming to us. And then and what popped in my head when you all were talking was, if we know when that data is available, then we schedule a meeting when data is going to be available. That way, when we meet, we can meet after the data is available, so we can have the data and we can have a discussion based on that. Mm-hmm. And that may be at the end of the year, or that may be at the beginning of the year, but whenever it is, it prompts us to say, this is the data, what the data is saying, what will drive our meetings for the next going forward. So if we were, once again, summing up, if we were to say we'll have a beginning of the year meeting, a mid-year meeting, and towards the end of the year meeting, and we'll be able to, I know I would be more inclined to participate.
Yes.
I like that.
I think that is a great suggestion. I think that's something that Representative Christie and I could work on with the leadership staff at both Knox County and also the school system to identify when this happens, when is the best time for us to come together. And I love that suggestion. I think that is a great way for us to approach how to work together, how to support each other, how to collaborate, and really make a difference. And so I love that idea.
And one other thing that I thought would be in this discussion of growth, and this is a question I guess I could or should know the answer to, but that ensuring that the funding for our schools is in line with the growth of our schools. And I'm not sure if it has really been looked at to say how fast this growth is going, and is our state funding particularly, that really keeping pace with that growth. I'm not going to get into the politics of money going anywhere else, but just that in terms of the number of students what we have to take care of, are we getting paid at that same pace? Because we can't expect necessarily the county to put in more money when we're not getting it from the source we should be getting it from.
Yeah. Well, I know we're not getting it from the state this year. I'll say it.
Right.
I'll say it.
Yeah.
I'll say it.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
That's great.
So, any other topics? Can we add sidewalks to
Yes.
the planning commission? Because I am curious when you're in that the walkability, if there's any ordinances for walkability when you're in that.
Yeah, so we
Mile.
updated the sidewalk ordinance. It's been a couple of years, but the parental responsibility zone.
Yes.
So yes, we can talk about what that ordinance
Because
states
it's
and if
like-
it's something you all need.
The last time I
to
checked, it was
expand.
going to be like, we've talked about eliminating it in the past because that is something you get calls about and something the school system obviously doesn't control when it's not on campus. But again, it comes down to money, right?
Yep, it does.
And the last time I checked, and this has been 2 or 3 years ago, it was over $4 million for us to get rid of the parental responsibility zone, and we've not fully staffed bus drivers
Wow.
since like 2018 or 19.
Right.
So even if we could get rid of it, I don't know that we really could because
Yes.
we
And
don't
one
have
thing, to
drivers.
give you an example, I've been working with a community who, they're within the parental responsibility zone, and they want to be able to walk their students to school, but we don't have connectivity. There's a gap with the sidewalk. And so working with engineering, I asked just for an estimate of what that would cost in case I wanted to suggest that for our upcoming budget cycle. And it is probably less than a quarter of a mile, and we're looking at $770,000 just for a sidewalk. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So that's going to be a hard ask. I'm still going to try to promote that. Yeah. And as you all know, your budget's pretty lean. Our budget will be extremely lean. We already operate on a pretty lean budget. So I tend to look at policy and procedure and how we can improve policy and procedure, and that's kind of where we are. So that's why I very much appreciate your input. And if there's anything, just us together, is there anything that you all would like to hear from County Commission, or you would like for me to take back to my colleagues? I would love to hear that.
I love the growth topic. As you know, Commissioner Frazier, we've had a lot of growth in Farragut, and one of the things that I've heard from our administrators a good bit is with apartment complex A, when it was first built, that they were told there won't be any kids that come from there, and then before it's even done being built, they already have 6 new students enrolled. I think you said the number 6, so obviously I just copied that number from Christy, but it's being able to discuss that and figure out if there are ways we can be more proactive in anticipating that and supporting our schools is helpful for sure. I would love to discuss how we can get some more support from the Knox County Sheriff's Office and the areas where I've been working a lot on our traffic situation at our Farragut schools, particularly the 3 campuses of Farragut Intermediate, Middle, and High that are together. And we have this, it's just a little bit of a tight spot where we leave Knox County Schools property, and so there's nothing that we can do. Town of Farragut has to play their role as well, and then we need Knox County Sheriff's Office to support enforcing the laws of the road. And that's been hard to get a whole lot of support there, but in order to keep our students safe and not to mention the cars that are flying through our school zones by the primary school and all of that, I think it would be great to be able to discuss how we can have a great working relationship between our security team and KCSO, and I know for other parts of the county, KPD, I'm sure.
Right. That brings me to my question. How many of you representing your districts have heard from either your principals or community members about the need for the presence from sheriff's officers helping with traffic congestion or also crossing guards? Have you all heard from your schools?
I haven't heard specifically about that, but, I know that we had 2 traffic guards at Bill Morris, and they'd still fly by. Our officer would stand in the middle of the road trying to get people to slow down, which probably wasn't the smartest thing to do, but it was a situation where if she didn't, then it would be just all.
I think some schools have them grandfathered in maybe and use reserve officers. And then the problem we've ran into is, it's kind of like a handshake agreement that's always existed, but then when those officers retire, suddenly you don't have one where everybody's used to having one. I've ran into a couple of those situations. Or schools saying, well, this school has one, why can't I have one?
So I've had many conversations with Chief Evans, who's over the crossing guards, and apparently there are 9 in the district, and it's a very kind of random smattering of them. The problem we have, and this is to answer your question, Commissioner Kim, yes. Okay. This is a huge issue for us. I know that may not be the case everywhere, but this is from parents, administrators, teachers, everybody. This is one of the biggest things that I hear about. The problem is that since we don't employ our crossing guard, we have there's nothing we can do. And then I understand that it's not a high priority for KCSO to come out and play crossing guard monitor
Right.
when they have a lot of other things going on as well. And so that is something we're stuck in right now.
Yes.
Traffic congestion, crossing guard, all of that.
And now our officers don't have jurisdiction on
Right.
On the road,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
And we don't want to pull them. My understanding is
school,
KCSO
too,
would
right.
like for us to utilize our officers, but we want them at the school. We don't want to pull them down to deal with traffic. We need them to be up where the students are up there. And so I think having this conversation with y'all would be so wonderful.
Right, and to let you all know, Commissioner Hill, Commissioner Oster, Commissioner Jay, and myself, we all collectively reached out individually to Knox County Sheriff's Office and the school board representative chair and put in an official request for this to be reviewed and also to come together and see if we could have a conversation about the issue, because I hear this from every district across Knox County.
When did you put that in?
It's been a couple of months ago,
Okay.
and I'm still waiting for a reply, so I'm hoping that I will
Follow
hear
up
back
with
for them.
Dr. Adams on that.
So that we could at least start the conversation on staffing needs, what is actually needed to meet the needs of our communities, because again, it's a safety issue. I'm one of those that I don't like to have conversations after someone actually gets hurt. I am very concerned about the congestion and students walking and crossing our roadways. They're very congested. I call it Frogger. These kids are kind of playing Frogger.
They are.
Especially in some of the areas of our county where we're continuing to grow and where we have planned growth. So I love that you brought that up as something else that I feel like this committee, we should put on our agenda for the year.
I did have an email from a parent, or maybe it was a teacher, I can't remember the specifics, and they were concerned about their crossing guard actually leaving and not even having one at Cedar Bluff. So this is a very,
That sounds
very
like
important topic.
a situation I've been in.
My response was not the sheriff department, because all of our schools are in the city, although the city is still in the county. But it's Knox KPD that's responsible for those. And we've not had any major problems that I know of. In fact, when I first moved here almost 18 years ago, I found out that they do a good job because I got a ticket coming out of the
Telling on
school zone. But it was 2007, the third day of school, and I saw the 35 sign. I looked at it; it was there, and so I speeded up, and the police cop waved me over, and he was sitting literally about 15 yards in front of the 35 sign, and he says it doesn't count until you pass the sign. And I said, okay. And I went to court, and the judge said he was right, but he did cut me a break, and I just had to pay a little something.
Miss
But-
Morgan can sympathize. Not in a school zone,
Not in Knox County, but
but recently.
But I do think that it's something that we look at. I'm at the schools driving through and seeing the traffic. It's traffic, and because I have a grandson I pick up, he was at Holston, and then he's now at Austin East, and traffic haven't changed. I mean, it's just a nightmare. When I drive by Selmore Green, all the schools, traffic is a big deal. But I do see the presence of the resource officer and the security officer, and I see their presence, and their presence make a difference. And, when I see the Knox County security car parked out there, I see the difference. And so that may be one of the answers, is that make it more, and I understand what's going on in the schools, but at that time of day, having them out and having them seen.
Sometimes just having the
makes a
car
difference.
out there.
Having the car out
Yeah.
there, because if it
Yeah,
has
have to
lights
be in
on it, it looks like a police car
Yeah.
or a sheriff
People
car.
will slow down if they see a car.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
and I think the practice may be more, I won't say more effective, but it'd be easier to get the practice changed and get the resources there. I will stop there because I know I was saying something about the sheriff department.
Yeah, and I do think that some of it might be just being transparent in what can't be fixed, and, because people don't understand if they see something at one school and their school doesn't have it, and they see the need being equal, and people don't understand that parents can't do it. It's like, oh, well, I'll just volunteer to do it. Well, call the sheriff's office and tell them that and see what they say. It just having information out there as to the rules and
I had a question specifically and it's not in my district, the Hardin Valley Academy and middle and elementary school, that traffic is a nightmare. The track meets, because I would take kids to track meets every year, I would have to get there at 4 o'clock in the afternoon just to find a parking spot.
Yes.
Sometimes, and then we'd have to delay the start of the meet because parents couldn't get through the traffic. Is there any plan in the future about?
Yes, and I'm happy and excited to report
Thank
that.
you so much.
We just approved, after some advocacy work, we just approved a consultant to come in and give us some recommendations for improvements to Hardin Valley from Pellissippi, eventually all the way to Hickory Creek. It will be done in phases, but right now we've extended that work to at least Campbell Station. We've also worked with Knox County Schools engineer to help us with figuring out a different traffic pattern so that we're not clogging down those lanes. And so we're working with both the elementary school and the middle school. We've done that with the high school as well. And so there is some collaboration, but yes, we are excited that we have included that in our strategic planning, and I'm looking forward to hearing what the consultant suggests and hopefully prioritizing that, especially from a budgetary standpoint. We're also going to work on paving Campbell Station because that also has become
Yeah, everybody knows
issue.
that back way now.
We sure do. And, living in that area, I can tell you that a lot of times we can't even get to our house. Like, we are standing still because the school pickup line typically will block traffic, and it's a little scary. We're having to kind of
Yeah.
go into the opposite lanes of traffic. So, yes, we see the need and the importance, and thank goodness to, District Commissioner Terry Hill and I really just kind of staying on top of it and having those conversations. It's moved up as a priority.
Great. Thank you.
Yes. Anything else?
Any other,
Anything else? Great.
anything anybody wants to add? All right, do we have a motion to adjourn before
Well, I
done?
got one other
Okay.
thing.
Yes.
And I don't know if this is the appropriate place, but we have voted to approve a new school in McKenzie, Lonsdale, and Beaumont. And as we were talking, in my mind, a lot of these things are going through my mind, like, okay, we got to make sure we do have a plan to look at traffic, because that's going to be a big deal. Walkability is going to be a big deal. But the reason why I brought it up is that's something that will be coming before the commissions,
Right.
fairly soon. I'm thinking with the memorandum of understanding for the property swap
The
and,
budget, yeah, because it should be
Yeah.
on,
They're probably in March,
yeah.
maybe on our March agenda.
yeah.
So, and that was the thought I had when I was talking about the items that we will be having coming up during the year. Does it help for us to talk about that's coming here, and if you all have any questions about that and where we are, because we've already approved it, so.
Right.
Yeah,
So
I
we
mean,
need-
I think so, because I think when that comes to commission, you have public works people there, I guess, with the city, that would be in the city. Is that, did they come to? Maybe
City
not.
council or city?
Well, the school, if the school's in the, I guess it would be planning, right? Because
It would be
that's a
planning,
city
yeah.
and county.
Yeah.
So those are concerns that you could help elevate, because you do have, I mean, as commissioners, you guys do have a seat at that table.
Yes.
And can help elevate those
Yeah, just
wishes and
communicate.
concerns and,
Just communicate those to us, send those to commission so that we are aware of the school board representatives, especially that they fall in those districts. What are your concerns? What challenges do you see? What are things that we could reach out to the different departments who have to take a look at traffic pattern and community impact? That's always very important to many of our commissioners.
it's better to be proactive than reactive.
Absolutely,
So-
absolutely. This has been a great meeting, and thank you all for your input and working together and supporting each other. That's what this is all about, and I'm really excited about establishing maybe some of the discussion points that we want to address in the coming year, and I'm looking forward to it.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Yeah, so motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion, are you asking for a motion to adjourn?
I
You make
am.
one, or did you make one or second?
I'll make it.
Okay,
Motion
you
to
made it.
adjourn.
Well, okay, we have a motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Meeting adjourned.